This is Kathy at the King's Table. Thank you for joining me today. I would like to share some great thoughts today as we start talking about tips for everyday living. And one today that's really on my mind, and that is, what excuses are you making since COVID-19? We've all been locked up for a little over 50 days now, and I'm hearing people saying so many things that they haven't done that they know they needed to get done. So I thought, why not jump on, talk about finally no more excuses. Finally no more excuses. We are here. Let's talk about it and take a look at some of the things that we're doing and that we're not doing, and then let's start talking about. I got several issues. Let me get them for you. First of all, Mama James, King's Table. It's actually Kathy James, but fondly known as Mama James. I'm excited, really excited. You all know about the book. Finally, No More Excuses. You can get it on Amazon. Great book. I wrote it. But besides that, it's really a great read for helping us to overcome our excuses. It does have a workbook that comes with it as well. And the workbook is just exercises for you to do to challenge yourself for actually walking through the various excuses that we make. So in today's session, I'm sitting out front. It's absolutely beautiful outside today, and I could not resist. It's the day before Mother's Day. Probably one of the greatest days in my life is being a mother. I love being a woman, a wife, and a mother. And I'm a nana. I have 9 grandchildren. I love them all dearly, and I thank God for them. But being a mother is a great, great blessing. So let me stay on track today because I can get off on that one when I start talking about being a mommy. But let's talk about why we make excuses, how we give permission to make excuses, the opportunities that we miss because we make excuses. So what are some of the steps that we can use to stop making excuses, and then extending some grace to ourselves in making excuses? And then how do we celebrate when we stop making excuses? Not excuses, but when we just stop making one excuse, that's when we start celebrating. So let's talk about that today. So thank you for joining me at the King's Table. I'll be right back and we'll go further. We need to understand what an excuse is. So what is an excuse other than doing what you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it, and if you want to do it or not? So we can talk about that a little bit, but let's look at what the dictionary says about what is an excuse. So I want to pose it in the form of a question. Am I making an excuse or providing an explanation? Excuse and explanation, 2 words, 2 distinct actions that are not only confusing but often misused. One thinks one is explaining something when in fact they are actually using an excuse. The dictionary defines excuse as a defense, justification, and an alibi, whereas an explanation is clarification, account, and enlightenment. So despite their very different meanings, we often make an excuse when we should be offering up an explanation. We should be clarifying when we are defending. And that means when we are trying to right our wrongs and become accountable for our behavior, an explanation is the right action, not an excuse. So you see, so close. 1, we make a mistake, and 2, we try and explain it. Explaining why you didn't get something done, that's okay. But make sure you're not providing an excuse for not getting something done. An example would clearly be is if someone had an expectation of you and they ask you to report out on what is the current status, and you start saying, well, I couldn't get it done because Johnny didn't provide me his information and Sue didn't give me her information, or he said, they said, she said, it said, that's an excuse. But if you say, yes, I contacted John on Wednesday, and John will be providing me the information to complete the document on tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So I will have your report by 1:30. I did get the following information and I'm following up with it to make sure that it's accurate. I am waiting for a response from. You are providing me an explanation on the status of. You are not providing me an excuse as to why the assignment is not done. That makes all the difference in the world. And I used to tell my staff all the time, don't surprise me. If I have an expectation and I'm sitting in a meeting and I'm waiting for you to give me an update and you start running out with excuses, that just doesn't feel good to the receiving person, and you don't look good as a person delivering it. So we really want to make sure that we understand the difference between what is an excuse and what is an explanation. So let's talk for just a few moments about giving ourselves permission to make excuses. And permission means you just tell people I didn't get it done because Johnny got in my way or Susie got in my way. I didn't get it done because he did, she did, whatever did. I just didn't get it done, or I was going to do it, but I didn't have time. That's, wow, that's giving yourself permission to fail. And I don't like permission to fail. I like giving myself some accountability around what's expected of me. So one of the things that I've learned to do to keep from making excuses, and that is to always wrap something around the expectation. So for instance, if I say to you, I am going to go out and get something done, I'm going to use this for an example. I'm going to go out and run 3 miles this morning, and I'm going to do it by 9 o'clock. And it's 5 o'clock in the morning. I have my devotion, I have my prayer, I have my quiet time, and there's a few other things on the agenda for me to get done. And I know that I need to get out the door by X, Y, and Z time. I have to be intentional about following the steps that I've put in place, because if I don't, I'm not going to meet my own set expectation. So if you wrap something around it, I'm going to go out and run by 9 o'clock. I'm going to go out and run by 9 o'clock, then that intention is set in my heart to get that done. The only reason I don't get it done is because I allow distractions to get in my way. I allow other things to get in my way. I take a phone call. I engage in a conversation that I didn't need to be in, so that I'm not able to meet my own expectations. And it's always excuses. My grandson, I'll say, hey, you want to make some money and vacuum? He'll say yes. I said, okay, vacuum the house and then wash the car for me and I'll give you 25, 30 bucks. He says, okay. Well, that was at 9 o'clock that morning. Well, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I say, hey, when do you think you might vacuum? When are you going to wash the car? Oh, I'm going to get it done. I'll get it done. I'm going to lay down for a few minutes. You know, I'm about buggy about right this minute. And at 5 o'clock, I say, hey, you think you're going to get that done? Well, my dad's on his way to pick me up. As he's driving out of the driveway, I think to myself, man, I really did set him up for failure. Had I put something, criteria or expectation around that, some ownership, he would have been much more successful. And now it goes like this. Hey, Zion, at 9 o'clock in the morning, I like my house vacuumed, and I like it vacuumed by 9 o'clock, by 10 o'clock. I want my car washed, and I want it washed by 11 o'clock. If that's something that you think you can get done, let me know. And if not, I will take other measures. He has the opportunity to say, yes, I'll be successful in getting it done by 10 o'clock. And I can also wash your car by 11 o'clock. And if not, there is no reward. And if he does get it done, then he gets the money. That's what he wanted. But I used to set him up for failure all the time without giving him a way to meet the expectations. So remember, if you're going to be successful, let's wrap something around that so that you can be successful. And that is holding yourself accountable. Find a partner, ask them to hold you accountable as well so that you can meet the expectations to be successful. But when we give ourselves permission, we miss so many opportunities. So let's talk about the missed opportunities. Missed opportunity for excuses will cripple you and your happiness and success. That's right. Excuses make you blind to what's right in front of you. The opportunity is here. I see it. I can touch it. But I can't fulfill it because I'm so comfortable making excuses all around that. So I'm not going to be happy. I'm not going to be successful. So what you learn to do is you say, here's the opportunity. I see everything that's involved to do it, but I see these hurdles. You know, success comes with hurdles and challenges along the way. But, you know, I've got to learn how to move this challenge. I've got to learn how to move this hurdle. I've got to learn how to move things around. So what's right in front of me, okay, so let's talk about how to stop making excuses, which is the one that you have to now say to yourself, I am willing to do the work. And when you get the book, Finally No More Excuses, it challenges you in various exercises of it's time to do the work. So let's do some work right now. Here's some things that you can do to stop making excuses. One, you can stop comparing yourself to other people. Comparing yourself to other people does you no good. Actually, other people are wishing that they could be more like you. So, when you see successful people, learn their habits and try to emulate those behaviors. But don't wish to be like them. Ask them what they did to be successful. Because being successful is hard work. It means that you're committed to getting out, doing the things that you need to do. I had someone the other day, I was out biking with some people, and while I was out biking, I got ahead of them about 3 or 4 miles, and I was in the zone. I had eaten a maple donut, and I wanted to burn the calories off, so I just really pushed myself really hard. And in pushing myself, I got ahead of them. And getting ahead of them, I probably got to the rest stop probably 10, 15 minutes, maybe before they did, somewhere like that, maybe 10 minutes. And one of the ladies gets off of her bike, and she says, man, I wish I had your energy. And that made me reflect for just a few moments. We don't want to try and be like other people. I have a lot of energy and I can do a lot of different things and I can do them well. But I don't want you to try and be like me because I don't want to be like you. But what we can do is that we can say, hey, why don't you give me a challenge and let's work out a little bit more during the week, and we can build ourselves up and we can do different things. You know how to cook, teach me how to cook. You know how to sew, teach me how to sew. You know how to do whatever it is that you do and you do well, would you teach me so that I can learn to do these different things and enhance my life so that I can be better? But don't compare yourselves to other people because you're always going to feel like you are not enough. And you are enough. You just need to be willing and committed to do the work required. When I see people change their lifestyle behavior on eating and their bodies begin to come in alignment, they say they feel better, they look better, they perform better. If I want to have those same feelings in myself, I need to eat better, exercise better, take better care of myself, get more sleep, get more rest, so that I can enjoy the fruits of those labors. But don't just wish that you were like someone else, comparing yourself to be like them when it's not in your best interest. It won't serve you well. And then let's stop fearing the unknown. Things are going to go wrong. Let's talk about that. Things will go wrong no matter what. But if you fear the unknown, you'll never know what could have gone wrong because you didn't even try. I refuse to spend my life not trying. I would rather fail at trying than to have spent my entire life not even trying. I want to go to bed saying, whew, I'm tired because I tried, not because I didn't try. I remember when I did my marathon, my very first marathon, I jumped in the American River and I just start swimming and I wasn't really getting anywhere, and all of a sudden the coach comes up behind me and I say, hey, what's up? She goes, well, you're sinking. And I said, no, I'm swimming. She goes, no, you're sinking. I said, oh, okay. I thought I was doing something, but she taught me how then to get somewhere. She taught me the proper stroke. She told me how to do it. I was slow as all get up and go. That didn't matter. I finished. Remember, the Bible said the race isn't given to the swift or the strong, but he that endureth to the end. And I endured to the end, and I got across that river and I got out, got my medal to prove it. But I said that to say this to you. Don't fear the unknown. You got to try it. If you've never done it before, again, ask for help. But fear will immobilize you. It will freeze you. And you can't do anything. And it's not in your best interest. And again, fear does not serve you well. I encourage you again, read the book of Joshua. The Bible says that we should encourage ourselves. Encourage yourselves in the Lord. Encourage yourself in the Word. Encourage yourself in prayer. And encourage yourself with an army behind you that will support you and that will push you along to being successful. But stop making excuses. Another way to stop making excuses, and this is a big one, stop blaming other people. And it looks like this. We are blaming other people and we forget that there are all these little things pointing back at us, that it's our responsibility. Don't blame other people. You know, the blame game started at the very beginning of time. He did it, she did it, he did it, she did it, she did it, he did it, whatever it might be. And we women are very good at this. Well, he lied, he divorced me, he left me, he took everything I had, she took this, she took that, my mother didn't do, my sisters weren't nice to me. We just blame everybody. But this is not the time to blame anybody. This is a time for you to be willing to change your mind and do the work. I know I'm not good at. I know that he did leave me. A lot of the things that you are facing are real. They are true. They did happen. But you have the ability and you have the power and the gifting from God to be who God created you to be. And that is, don't blame anybody else. Take a hot bath. Put your big girl panties on. Get your good shoes. Get to the door and say, you know what, world? Here I come. I'm not blaming anybody. I might be slower than anybody else. I might walk a little bit more crooked and unstable than anybody else. But guess what? I'm on my way. And pretty soon, your walk, your step will increase. Pretty soon, you'll get there and you'll feel like, wow, I can do this. But it's going to require that you do the work, take a lot of deep, whole lot of deep breaths along the way. But you will be challenged. You will have hurdles. You will have obstacles. But guess what? You got this. You got this. And another thing is take action and take responsibility. You know, we don't want to take the action that's required when we have allowed things or made excuses around ourselves, but own the areas that you know you failed in. Own them. Don't blame anybody else. Own your mistakes. Own your failures. Tell people I failed, I didn't do it right, I didn't get it. And when you own it, people will come together, people will support you, people will encourage you so that you can be successful on your journey. So let's finish talking about the excuses that we make and giving ourselves permission around those excuses as well. So, a final thought, in our previous few moments together, I talked about how we miss opportunities in making excuses when we give permission to them. And so, the last thought that I had on that I wanted to share was, every time you give an excuse, it cripples and kills your chances for success. So every time you comfortably sit back and you say to yourself, I'm not going to because, I don't want to because, or something's in my way, I don't have time, because you didn't plan to make time, of course. But whatever the excuse might be that you render for not completing school, not learning how to do something better, not challenging yourself for a greater outcome in an area of your life. Specifically, I want to use the one around health and changing lifestyle behaviors. And one specifically is managing what we eat, learning to be more disciplined. And another session, living a life of discipline, is coming your way. Every time you make an excuse around those areas, you take time off your life. You know, your heart can only beat so many times in a lifetime. And every time you decide to put that bad item in, your heart has to pay for it. An excuse. Every time you decide not to spend a few moments exercising, you know, a few moments a day, 30 minutes a day, not very much time actually, and you decide not to eat everything that's on the plate, or you decide that I'm not going to go out and just keep eating bad foods, you know, or I am going to continue to go out and eat bad foods. You're making excuses and you're going to pay for it another way. Just remember that. When we make excuses, there's a cost, and that cost has to be paid somewhere. So where do you want the cost to be most impactful? Do you want it to be at the demise of your life, at the failure for your children, failures for your mate, failure in your career? That's the thought that you have to always have before you when you're thinking about making a decision or not. Where am I going to pay for it? Where will I pay for this at? And you get to decide that. So just remember, you don't want to miss any opportunities around making excuses, but you do want to make the best excuse for yourself. You want to learn not to make excuses for yourself, but make better decisions for your outcome of your life. So, how do we stop making excuses? I'm going to give you a few steps. And these are steps that you get a pencil and paper and you start charting down some of the tips. There's quite a few tips I've shared with you in this session, but this particular one is how do we stop making excuses? And the number one thing that's most important is to stop comparing yourself to other people. Don't look at someone else and say, I want to do that because they're doing it. I'm not as good as she is, so I won't even try. Uh, I've never been a fast runner. I love to run. I love to jog. My trainer says you love to jog. You don't love to run. I like to move. Let's put it like that. And my feet don't come off the ground very far, 5, 6 inches, where her feet come off a couple inches and a couple feet, and she touches her buttock when she runs because she's moving those feet around. I've never been that kind of runner. I have no desire to be that kind of runner. I like to go out and jog and smell the roses. I'll stop and take pictures of roses and flowers and ooh and ah. And she goes, "Wait a minute, you're not running. You're stopping and looking. I'm enjoying myself." So learn to enjoy yourself. Don't compare yourself to how successful someone else is. Now what you can do is you can learn some habits and behaviors of successful people. That's really important to the success of your life. What are some things that people are doing that are creating good positive habits that you can build into your life? That's good. But don't try and be like me. Don't try and do it like me. Don't try and be a 5-year-old when you're a 50-year-old. Don't try and be a that's a whole nother session. We're talking about learning to live in the phase that you're in. This is a good time for you to say to yourself, I'm not like that person. I'm never going to have the 20-year-old body that I had when I was 20. I got a 60-year-old body now. The best thing I can do for this 64-year-old body, the best thing I can do for this 64-year-old body today in this phase of my life is eat healthy, exercise, be committed to taking care of myself better than I've ever been before. But the 20-year-old, whatever those numbers were back then, I'm lost. I can't remember. But whatever they were, they're not happening again. But I can be fitter. I can be stronger. I can be better today than I've ever been today than I was yesterday. So don't compare yourself to other people because they're probably comparing themselves to you. They're probably looking at you saying, man, I wish I could be like her. I have people tell me that all the time and they say, man, I wish I could do the things you do. I wish I could get up early. I wish I could go out and kayak and run and exercise and bike and do what you do. But there's a cost for that. There's a cost that I pay to do those things. And are you willing to do it? It takes energy to kayak and go out and do 4 and 5, 6 miles kayaking. It takes energy to go out and bike 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 miles. It takes energy to walk 10 and 15 miles. Are you willing to do it? And if not, you're going to make an excuse as to why you don't want to do it, and that's okay, if that's okay for you. But don't compare yourself to other people. Another reason to stop making excuses is to stop fearing the unknown. That's the guaranteed way to go wrong, is when you fear the unknown. You're afraid of something that you haven't even tried. Fail at trying to do something. Don't fail at saying, well, I was going to, but I was afraid. I didn't think I could, so I didn't. Get rid of the fear. Don't be afraid to try things. The very first time I jumped in the lake and tried to swim across, I almost lost all my breath. Matter of fact, I did, and I started sinking, and the coach had to come out and get me. And she said, what are you doing? I said, I'm swimming. She goes, no, you're sinking, because I was afraid. The fear of the unknown, of what's out there. You can be successful if you try it. The only way you're going to get stronger is that you try. I remember I loved the weight training. And I got better at weight training when my trainer gave me a 1 pound weight and it hurt my muscles the first few times. Then she gave me a 3 pound weight and a few times it hurt my arms. And after about a week or so, I thought, this is all you got from me. You got to give me more. Then I got a 10 pound weight and I said, girl, this is all you got. And then she gave me a 20 pound weight until she got up to 70 pounds. And then I started saying, I can't lift 70 pounds. Then she put them on the end of a barbell. And I started lifting those weights up over my head until I got stronger and stronger. And then when she started spotting me, I got stronger and stronger. And the fear went away. Because why? I got stronger. That's what you have to do around your excuses. Try the little things. Strengthen yourself. Strengthen yourself, be prayerful, be committed, be dedicated, and don't be afraid of the unknown. You'll never get anywhere if you're afraid of the unknown. And stop blaming other people for your misfortune. Eve blamed Adam and Adam blamed Eve, and I'm blaming Greg, and Greg's blaming me, and she's blaming. We're blaming. Don't blame other people. Own your mistakes. Own your failures. Own your fear of not even trying, and you feel more comfortable making a mistake because making an excuse because you would rather blame someone where he owed me $50 and he didn't give it to me. My kids didn't turn out right because my husband didn't give me child support. I can't pay the bills because I don't have child support. Legitimate excuse, but what are you willing? Get used to the word willing. What are you willing to do to make a difference? What are you willing to do to change things in your life? What are you willing to do to overcome it? I know women who have worked 2, 3, and 4 jobs to pay rent, to buy food, to buy clothes for their kids, and their kids turned out magnificent. Some of those kids turned out greater than kids who had 2 parents in the home, who had food, clothing, shelter, great education. The children who had nothing and the mother who worked and gave everything she had, those children turned out a lot better than some other kids that I know. Don't fail yourself blaming other people. And again, take responsibility. Own it. Take responsibility for your failures. I have been gifted, I believe, with the gift of repentance and humility. I don't mind saying I'm sorry. I know some people can't say I'm sorry very well. They hurt you and they just look at you and say, well, if I hurt you. No, you hurt me. If I did you wrong. No, don't say if you did me wrong. I'm telling you that you did me wrong. I'm telling you that you offended me. I don't mind going back to people saying, I am very sorry that I hurt you. Please forgive me. I am very sorry for what I did. I didn't think about it hurting you. I am so sorry. I have no problem being humble. None. I will humbly submit to you and say, you know, what I tried was wrong. What I did was wrong. Would you please forgive me? And I will surrender my will because God's gifted me with that. So be humble. Take responsibility for what you do that's right and what you do that's wrong. Own it. And when you own it, people are more willing to give you grace. Some people, not everyone has a graceful spirit. That's the next step is being graceful. Extend to yourself grace. Not everyone can extend you grace. Only God has full grace. Grace is unmerited favor of something we did not deserve. And a lot of humans, the majority, are not very good at extending grace. I am. You know why? I read a scripture in the Bible that Paul said that whatever you were awarded, that's what you should give back. And I was awarded grace. God gave me grace when I did wrong. My parents extended grace. My husband extended grace. I extend grace to people. And I love extending grace to people because it makes me feel good. It makes me feel warm and fuzzy because I know God extended me grace. Not that my grace extends to heaven or hell to anybody, but what my grace does do is it allows people to be free. And I like being free. I don't like people holding me bondage. I don't like people holding me hostage. Nobody holds me hostage. I will walk alone before I'm held hostage by anyone. If you don't like my gift, you don't like my calling, you don't like what God has given me, that's okay. I don't mind because God has a door open that He wants to use for the building of the kingdom. And the kingdom will be built with or without me. But God has a place that He wants to use me to build the kingdom. And I am available for God to use. So extend grace to people. And then set small attainable goals for yourself. That's how you stop making excuses. If you know that you want to get up and learn how to walk 2 miles, get up, put your tennis shoes on and walk to the front door and think about it. And once you get to the front door, go ahead and walk outside the door. And go as far as you can go back home, and the next day do it again. And the next day do it again. And before you know it, you would have met that goal. I'm doing an entire sessions on goal setting, step planning, how to set those reward moments, and it's going to be great. So you'll get a notice on that one as well. So join me on the goal setting. And then learn from your mistakes. I've done a lot of things wrong. And I have no problem going back saying I'm sorry, but I learned from those mistakes. There are some things I will never do again. And guess what? There are mistakes I've made that I will do again just because of the nature of making mistakes. But don't intentionally make mistakes and not own them. But learn from your mistakes and then endeavor in your heart when you repent. Tell God, I don't want to make that mistake again. Matter of fact, what I do is if I drive down the road and I go the wrong way and I get in trouble down that road, I don't go down that road again. I go down another road. There are too many roads to go. I don't have to beg, and I don't have to plunder, and I don't have to be lost. I don't have to live in the dirt and turn over a few times to figure out that this is wrong. Learn from your mistake and move on. My husband just bought me beautiful flowers. Are those mine? Would you like to give them to me now? Happy Mother's Day to me. Would you look? Oh, doesn't this compliment? Oh my goodness. Doesn't this compliment this session? What a beautiful thing. He's learned from his mistakes. Oh, yes, he has. But don't focus on your weakness. And it's so easy to focus on your weaknesses, because we all have lots of weaknesses. I told you that earlier when it was talking about the weightlifting. Don't focus on your weakness. Focus on your strengths, but just strengthen yourself where you are weak. One of the things to stop making excuses on not focusing on your weaknesses is partner up with someone and have them hold you accountable. You know where you're weak. You know where you could do better, where you could be better. Partner up with someone that you trust who will tell you the truth about yourself. And it's a much better journey that way. And let's close it out with, again, giving grace, extending grace to yourself. I talked about giving grace to other people, but I love giving grace to myself. I love me telling myself that, you know what, Lord, I failed again. I didn't do it. I'm not going to make an excuse, God, and I'm sorry that I did that. And God extends his love and his grace to me, and then I extend it to myself. I get up, I take a bath, put on some nice clothes, go for a walk, go to the grocery store, go to the restaurant, and I just revel in the grace that God extends to me, and then I extend it to myself. I don't allow my inner critic, and that's a whole nother session. Don't miss that session. How to manage your inner critic, because your inner critic is off the chart. She'll mess you up every time. Don't mess with that girl. She's a mess. But you do have to listen to that girl and pay attention, because there's some things she's bringing to your attention that you need to be aware of. You just don't have to pay attention to it, buy into it, but you do need to listen to it to say, wow, I wasn't aware of that. Because when she brings it to your attention, it's normally an area that you've struggled in your life, or you've been abused in your life, and you've become victim to it. So don't miss that session as well. There's so much that we're going to get at the King's Table. And then celebrating our success. Here it is. I'm going to celebrate my success. I am a wife of 46 years. I'm a mother of 3 adult children. I am the grandmother of 9 grandchildren. I'm going to celebrate that on this Mother's Day weekend. I'm going to let him take great care of me. I'm not doing a thing, not washing. So you see, I'm going to celebrate myself this weekend. I am not doing a thing. I'm not going to fuss, fight about with myself about what I'm going to do, not going to do. No excuses rendered. While I'm locked away, I'm doing the King's Table, where the feast of the Lord is spread, and he awaits your arrival. So be ready to let's sit and feast with the King. He has so many great riches for us, and he desires that we become great daughters of the King. God bless you. And thank you for joining me at the King's Table. By the way, you can follow my podcast at the King's Table. You can also follow me on Facebook, my website, Esther Nation Ministries. Sign up for a coaching session. I'm doing Crosswalk Life Coaching. Love to spend a couple sessions with you, and let's walk through some areas and or issues that you might be challenged with. And let's just see what the Lord has to say. He has much to share. God bless you.